So now we're going to take a look at writing equations of hyperbolas given certain criteria. For example, example 1, given the foci and given the vertices. Example 2, given the center, one focus, and one vertex. Example 3, given an equation that's not in hyperbola format, center format, one that's multiplied out. And example 4 is the same kind of equation. Once you get the equations, of course, you can graph these hyperbolas as well. So let's take a look at the first one. We know that the foci are at 0, -3, and 0, 3. And we know the vertices are at 0, 2, and 0, -2. So just a quick sketch to give us an idea of what we're talking about here. We've got vertices at 0, 2, and 0, -2. And we've got a foci somewhere right inside of that. So we're talking about hyperbolas that look like this, all right, because they have to wrap around the focus like that. So this tells us that y squared is the positive variable. It also tells us that a squared is 4 because remember that the vertices are at the square root of that. So we know we've got y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. That's y squared over 4 minus x squared. We don't know b squared yet, so I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. Now, remember how we find b squared. We know that c squared is a squared plus b squared, and we know both of our c's, -3 and 3, so that's going to be 3 squared or -3 squared, but let's just do the positive. And let's see, we know a squared is 4. So that's plus b squared. So that's 9 equals 4 plus b squared. Or 5 equals b squared. So b is the square root of 5. And really we need b squared anyway, because that's what we want to put in the equation. So our equation would be y squared over 4 minus x squared over 5 equals 1. Now, if you want to do a quick check to make sure this makes sense, you can see that a is plus and minus 2, and b is plus and minus the square root of 5. In terms of the graph, that makes sense because we've got our 0, 2 and our 0, -2. And remember, a squared plus b squared has to equal c squared, so that would be 2 squared or -2 squared plus the square root of 5 squared has to come out to c squared. That's 4 plus 5 is c squared, so c would be plus and minus 3. And that was the foci that we were given. So our final answer on that one would be y squared over 4 minus x squared over 5 equals 1. The second example here, we know the center is at 4 minus 6, the focus is at 10 minus 6, and the vertex is at 8 minus 6. Now this is the first time we've seen a parabola that is shifted off of the center at 0, 0. The format of that equation is going to be x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1, or y minus k squared over a squared minus x minus h squared over b squared equals 1, and in both cases the center is at hk. So we know our center is at 4, -6, so we have x minus 4 squared over, and we'll get a in just a minute, minus y minus, let's see, plus 6 squared over equals 1. And then there's an a squared here, and a b squared here, or it could be y plus 6 squared over a squared minus x minus 4 squared over b squared equals 1. Now, the main thing is you have to remember that in the format, you have to take the opposite of both of these, because the center's at hk, and these are minuses, so h is the opposite of minus h, k is the opposite of minus k, so you have to remember to take the opposite. So that's why I put a minus 4 and a plus 6, or a plus 6 and a minus 4. Now, we've got to look at some other things to see which one is going to be positive. So let's just draw a quick sketch. It's always the best thing to do. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect or formal, just see what we got here. We got a 4, negative 6 as our center. A focus is at 10, negative 6, so it's going to be over here somewhere. So that's a center, and that's a focus. And we have a vertex at 8, negative 6, so our vertex is like right here. So remember, it's going to wrap around like this. So we know that it has a horizontal axis, that's the transverse axis, okay? So that means that the x squared is positive. So it's this first one right here, okay? And I know that again because whichever transverse axis is parallel this time to the x-axis, that means the x squared is going to be positive. Now I have to find a squared and b squared. Now remember, the let's see, the focus, remember, is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now this minus 6, okay, is this line right here. Y is minus 6. So it's going to be this first coordinate that's going to give us our c of our focus, our c squared. So, or actually our c. So that's going to be a 10 squared. This is going to be our c of our focus. Now, to get the a squared, well, we know that our vertex is going to be, the x coordinate is going to be our a. So our a squared is 8 squared, and then plus b squared. So remember, this is just the transverse axis. Okay, and these are your c's and your a's. Okay, so that's 100 equals 64 plus b squared. 100 minus 64 is 36 equals b squared. So b is plus and minus, but we really need the b squared to put it into the equation. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to erase this b squared and this a squared, and I'm going to say my a squared is 64 and my b squared is 36, and check that to make sure your foci works. Remember, c squared is a squared plus b squared, so c squared is 64 and 36. That c squared is 100, and so c is plus and minus 10. And look, here we have this plus 10, so that makes sense. So you just have to fill in the parts that you know, and that will help you to find the equation. So our final answer on this one is x minus 4 quantity squared over 64 minus y plus 6 quantity squared over 36 equals 1.